بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد النبي العالمين الذي اسمه مكتوبا في الإنجيل والتوراة. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في كتابه العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن أراد الآخرة وسعى لها سعيا وهو مؤمن فأولئك كان سعيهم مشكورا. وقال تعالى في مقام آخر من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة ولنجزينهم أجرهم بأحسن ما كانوا يعملون. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا إن الدنيا عرض حاضر يأكل منه البر والفاجر ألا وإن الآخرة أجل صادق يقضي فيها ملك عادل فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يرى ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يرى أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. And your brothers, sisters, elders and youngsters, it is an innate feature of every single human being, regardless of their age, their background, their ethnicities, their likes, their dislikes, that every human enjoys to win at something. A child who is just playing with his games or her games wants to beat their sibling at whatever game they're playing. And as a person grows older, they want to win in sports, they want to win, they're competitive within their schools and their exams. And as a person grows even older, اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب ولهو وزينة وتفاخر بينكم وتكاثر بينكم بالأموال والأولاد. At a certain age, a person desires to just win within their transactions, win at business, get the best deal that they can possibly get. Nobody wants to be at the losing end of any transaction. We desire to win. We desire to profit. Even if it's something extremely small and tedious, we want to be someone that wins at anything that we do. We want to be able to profit. And we want to be able to say that we profited from this. This is a natural, innate feature of every single human being. And when Allah speaks in the Quran, He speaks to our innate features. Hence He says, hence He reminds us, should I not tell you, أَلَا أَدُلُّكُمْ عَلَى تِجَارَةٍ تُنْجِيكُمْ? Should I not inform you of a transaction, of a deal that you will forever profit from? You will forever benefit from. Every single person looks through a vision, through an angle of which they can benefit. There's always an angle for the individual. Very rarely does a person do something without a personal incentive. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us that there is a personal incentive that you have in this life. There is a personal incentive that you have to obey me and to live a life that brings my pleasure. And in this verse in Surah Fatir, Allah ends the verse in verse 29 by saying, تِجَارَةً لَن تَبُورٍ. There is a transaction, there is a bay'ah, there is a deal that I'm giving to you. I'm handing it over to you. And this transaction will never, in any way, shape or form, bring you any form of loss. By its default nature, it can only give you profit. It's like a stock that continues going up. It's like a deal that you will always profit from. There is nothing, no changing in the markets, no fluctuations, no variations that can remove the profit from this transaction. The question becomes, what do we have to do? What do we have to give to be able to be the beneficiary of this form of a transaction? What do we have to give? And the response is, we don't have to really give anything. We have to give up certain things. Allah doesn't need us. Every system in this world, the greatness of it is contingent upon the people that populate it. Universities and colleges are only as prestige as their students and professors. You remove their professors, you remove their students, that university won't be recognized anymore. A corporate company is only great because it's able to hire the best employees. Their personnel are what make it great. The system of deen is such that every single person is allowed inside. It's not great because it excludes, it's great because it includes. Harvard is only Harvard, not because of who they let in, it's because who they leave out. So what do we have to give up? We don't have to really do anything. We have to leave things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. مَنْ تَرَكَ شَيْئًا لِلَّهِ عَوَّضَهُ اللَّهُ مِمَّا هُوَ خَيْرٌ لَهُ. The Prophet says, whosoever leaves things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will always replace it with that which is much better for them. And in this verse, Allah speaks about the key components of these qualities that a believer must bring into their lives to be able to benefit from such a transaction. He starts off by saying, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ. That these are people who are attached to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because it is a part and parcel of the symbolic believer that the Quran is close to them. Maybe by recitation, maybe by memorizing, or may it simply be that a person is attached to it. But the verse reminds us, يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ. Every single thing in this world is recognized by qualities. You can tell a person is happy simply by how they look. You can tell a person is sad because of how they carry themselves. You can tell that any aspect of an individual's emotions are shown by them being present. What are the qualities that Allah wants in this transaction? يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ. These are people who recite the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةِ. They in their life establish the prayer. That there are measurables for things. It is never accepted in any system that you walk in and say that I am a part of this system without having the metrics to back it up. Everything in life is gauged by measurables. A person's success in school has a measurable of their exams. A person's success at work has a measurable of their tasks and rocks being completed. A person's ability to say that we are believers has unique measurables as well. And amongst them are the first two. The Quran is close to them. Number two, وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةِ. That they're establishing prayer. Number three, وَأَنْفَقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُم. They're able to help people. They're able to create this quality within themselves that they're not always receivers, but they're also givers. Whereas in a capitalistic society, a person is always seeking to receive and very rarely looking to give. And whenever they give, it's with the incentive of receiving back. That I'll give a gift because I know I'll get something back. These are people who give without the hope of getting anything back in return. Sirran wa alaniya. And they're doing it in secret. They're doing it without anyone seeing. In complete secrecy. And they're doing it openly as well. This is very important that as a believer, that these qualities of goodness are established at both levels. When no one is watching me and when the world is watching me. Because it's not enough to simply pray at night when no one sees me. It's great for us. It establishes a certain level of confidence, presence, and love of Allah. However, that in itself is not enough. This is why when the Prophet ﷺ was given his first revelation, it was اقرأ بِاسْمِ رَبِّكَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ. Read about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this was a tree trunk. And the branches of this tree trunk were two ayat that were revealed right after this. Number two was يَا أَيُّهَا الْمُزَّمِّلْ قُمِ اللَّيْلَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Establish your prayer at night when no one is watching you. You and I build a personal relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the second branch of this was يَا أَيُّهَا الْمُدَّثِّرْ قُمْ فَأَنذِرْ. That now you stand and deliver. وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ. You allow people to realize that the worth that we have is not simply referred back to our education, our families, our cultures, but the worth and value that we are able to establish in this land is contingent upon our relationship to Allah. When someone comes to an individual and says, how did you reach this great level that you've reached? How were you able to become who you become? And the first answer is because of my education, because of my upbringing, because of my parents, because the land of America is an opportunity and it gives you opportunities, and because of where I am. Everyone often refers back to any other reference except for deen. How did you get what you got? أُوتِيتُهُ عَلَىٰ عِلْمٍ عِنْدِي. Was it because of me, or was it because Allah gave it to me? When a youngster says to someone that I have this job because Allah blessed me with this job, when the person listens to that person's answer, they realize that whatever he is referring to, it brings value in their life. You can only refer to something in a manner of goodness if you believe that it establishes value in your life. If you don't believe it brings value in your life, you tuck it away as if it's a cancer. But when you believe that it brings value in our life, that it is a source of value. Whenever someone comes to us and asks us about the success that we experience, the instantaneous response primarily is that because I follow the deen of Allah. Allah has allowed me to memorize what I've memorized. Allah has given me the ability to wake up in the morning. Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana. Allah has allowed me to go to work, to go to school. The mentality of a believer is to always refer the goodness that they receive back to Allah. And when we understand this, that deen, when it enters into our life, it does not depreciate our value. A person recites the Quran, a person goes ahead and establishes prayer, a person goes and gives charity. This, by no measure, will ever depreciate a person's lifestyle. Will never depreciate their value. It will only appreciate our value. It will only allow a talent to be more well known, more well established. Who was Bilal before he became Muslim? Who was Umar radiyallahu anhu before he became a Muslim? They had the same talents. He had the same voice. He had the same abilities. He had the same lineage. He had the same level of literacy. What happened to Bilal radiyallahu anhu that was known, his name was synonymous to persecution in Mecca. But when the Prophet of Allah entered into Makkah al-Mukarramah during the time of Fath Mecca, his name was synonymous to Bilal. Sayyidi, you are our master. Climb the Kaaba and call the adhan. What changed is that he realized that the value that he was seeking was found within the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was enclosed. It was not also there. Deen doesn't also add value. Salat doesn't also bring blessings. No, the verbiage is not also. Only salat brings blessings. Only the Prophet's sunnah brings fulfillment. Only the Quran allows us to walk with our head up high and be proud for who we are and what we've been given. Only. And everything else is an add-on. Umar radiyallahu anhu, his aunt would tell him, there was a time that I remember clearly and vividly, there was a time that you were unable to take care of a flock of sheep. And today Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the kingdom of 1/3 of the world. What changed wasn't that they added other things in their life. What changed is that they focused on the thing that truly brought them value. Where he says at the time of entering into Baytul Maqdis, Umar radiyallahu anhu, when he entered into Baytul Maqdis as a conqueror, and Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah looked at him, and he saw the clothes that he was wearing. And he chose to live a simple life. Patched up clothes, looking somewhat shabby. And this was a lifestyle that he chose. It's not incumbent upon any of us. And he says to him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, أَيَنْبَغِي لَكَ أَن تُبَذِّلَ ثِيَابَكَ. Would it be okay if you just simply change your clothes? Would it be too much for us to ask for you to change the way you pronounce your name? Would it be too much for us to ask if you don't pray during work hours? Would it be too much for us to ask if you don't dress that way, people feel uncomfortable? Would it be too much for us to ask that, why don't you just change who you are so you can assimilate to who we are and we'll become one large family as if nothing is different about us? We've been posed the same question every single day of our life, living as Muslims in America. And Umar radiyallahu anhu gave us a response. They say that you look strange and I look strange, and our response is, strange? By whose definition of what the norm is? If the definition of the norm is so subjective, then the reality of the matter is every single person is a stranger to someone else's definition of what normal is. And that is what America is right now. So he answers and he says, O Abu Ubaidah, kunna adalla an-nas, fa inna Allah azzana bil Islam. We were the lowest of people. We had nothing riding in our side. Like if someone was to draw up the trajectory of where we would have been, they would never in their wildest dreams dreamt that we are the conquerors of these lands. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَزَّنَا بِالْإِسْلَامِ. Allah gave us honor and value through this religion. Allah gave us honor and value that we are able to perform sajda. We are able to say our names are synonymous with the names like Sahabas. We're able to say that we have the same DNA internally as the companions of the Prophet. We are able to say that one day we will be raised with them. This is what truly brings us value. Not anything, everything else is an add-on. And when a person realizes that it brings them value, they hold on to it. They protect it. Nobody has a house without house insurance. Nobody has a car without car insurance. Man, we don't even have phones without a phone cover. Because things are valuable, are always protected. Because we're afraid that if they get lost or if they get damaged, how will we reciprocate those losses? How do we protect our iman? The same iman that will allow us to benefit in this world, in the akhirah. Allah ends this verse off by saying, the people that establish these three qualities, tijaratan lan tabur, they are given a deal, a transaction that will never falter. There will never be loss in it. There will only be profit. There will only be benefit. This is why when Suhaib al-Rumi radiyallahu anhu, a great companion who was amongst the last companions to perform hijrah, because the people in Mecca didn't allow him to leave Mecca. They said that you are one of the wealthiest people amongst us. If you leave Mecca, the economy will also struggle because of your departure. You need to stay here because you're an economical hub for our city. You stay here. It's like when Amazon opens up in a city, it allows jobs to be created. You have to stay here. And he says, no, I want to leave. And they tie him up and they hold him as a hostage that you can't leave. In the middle of the night, he leaves the city. And he sneaks out and he rushes to Medina, leaving everything behind. And the Meccans catch up to him. And when the Meccans catch up to him, he's standing on the top of a hill. And just imagine this scene unfold in front of your eyes as this companion who loves the Prophet more than anything else in this world is standing on top of this hill, and the Meccans have caught up to him on the bottom of the hill, their arrows out, and they're ready to attack this person. And Suhaib al-Rumi looks at them and he says, إِنَّكُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ أَنِّي أَرْمَى مِنْكُمْ. You know, O Meccans, that I am the best shooter amongst you all. Meaning, if you want to take a stab at me, I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. But let me tell you, if you stay back and you let me go to Medina, I will inform you of every single place, every single hole, every mattress that my money is hidden under. I will give you my banking details, my routing numbers. I will transfer everything to you guys. You're after my wealth. You don't care about me. Take my money. Let me go to my Prophet. Let me go. And the Meccans said, well, that's okay. If that's the case, you can leave. And he enters into Madinatul Munawwara. And the Prophet of Allah is waiting for him in the outskirts of the city, because he's been informed by Allah that Suhaib is coming. And as he enters, he falls into the arms of the Prophet ﷺ. Imagine this lengthy journey, sneaking out, people looking to take your life, and finally you are able to embrace the Prophet in that warm hug. We can only imagine what that feels like, and we can only dream that on the Day of Judgment we're able to also experience that hug. Ya Rasulullah, we didn't go through what Suhaib went through, but Ya Rasulullah, we also lost loved ones in this world. Ya Rasulullah, we also left opportunities on the table because it didn't bring your happiness. Ya Rasulullah, we left many opportunities that were impermissible because you told us so. Ya Rasulullah, we chose to live our life by a standard of your sunnah. Ya Rasulullah, give us your love. And this is why when a man was asked, Qa'qa'a rahimahullah, a great companion, he was asked that tell me something that will increase my longing for Jannah. Nashtaqu biha ila al-Jannah. That it will increase my yearning for Jannah, that I will desire to be in Jannah. Tell me something. And he responded by saying, Fiha Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Lam Iqbal, he would say, Ki Muhammad se wafatune to hum tere hain. Ye jahan cheez hai kya, loh wa qalam tere hain. When a person brings their loyalties to the Prophet, the world becomes loyal to you. Fiha Rasulullah. In Jannah is the Prophet of Allah. And when he hugs him, he says to him, whispering into his ear, Rabih al-bay'u ya Aba Yahya. Rabih al-bay'u. What a beneficial, profitable transaction. You profited from this. He says, Ya Rasulullah, how do you know about this? And he says, Allah has revealed in ayah, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ. There are people who will let go of things of this dunya to earn the happiness and pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah then says, لِيُوَفِّيهِمْ أُجُورَهُمْ وَيَزِيدَهُمْ مِنْ فَضْلِ. In the next verse, the sequence of these verses are so beautiful, where He says that they will be given the best of rewards. Like the highest form of reward will be given to them of those deeds. The Mufassirun comment, Abdullah ibn Abbas, he says, when Allah says, وَلَيُوَفِّيَنَّهُمْ أُجُورَهُمْ, that we will fulfill and give them the highest level of good deeds, what that means for us is Allah will search in our portfolio of salat and find the best salat. And He will use that as a standard to reward all of our prayers. Imagine if our bosses did that to us, or our professors. That we just need one really good salat. And every single salat is an aim and attempt to get that salat. We don't simply pray for the sake of praying. Allama Iqbal, he would say, "Jo mistarba sajda hua kabhi, to zameen se aane lagi ye sada, tera dil hai to sanam aashana, tujhe kya milega namaz mein." He would say that your head and my head is on the ground performing sajda, aiming to take from Allah's treasures, but your heart is completely unaware of who Allah is. A person's heart is attached to everything else but Allah. Allah will look at our portfolio of tilawah and recitation, and He will take the best recitation and reward all of our recitation based upon that. Allah will give us reward not based upon what we do, but based upon our efforts. Every system reciprocates based on results. Allah's system reciprocates based on effort. وَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْآخِرَةَ وَسَعَى لَهَا سَعْيَهَا. Whosoever makes an effort, consolidated effort, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا, whosoever struggles for this path. Because a person can say that they can recite so well and I struggle to recite. Well, the Prophet tells us, whosoever struggles to recite, فَلَهُ أَجَرَانِ, they will get double their reward. It is not the same for a person to live as a Muslim in this country in comparison to the countries that many of us came from, because it is harder. In the moment it becomes harder, be at ease knowing that the reward is much more. Allah doesn't reward us based upon the act itself or limited to the act. Allah rewards us based upon how difficult it was for us to do it. لِيُوَفِّيهِمْ أُجُورَهُمْ. That there is not one reward for reciting a letter. There are 10 rewards for reciting a letter. مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا مِنْ ذَكَّرٍ أَوْ أُنْثَى. Allah gives us the reward of that in this world by allowing us to live a beautiful life. وَلَنُحْيِيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبًا. Then He says, وَيَزِيدَهُمْ مِنْ فَضْلِي. Now I add much more. I'll give you many bonuses, many bonus points. لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةً. That I don't count and pick and count in return. I'm a generous person. I give without looking. I'll give as much as you look, as much as you require. And the scholars say, what is ziyada? What does it mean that Allah will give us more? And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma says, ziyada refers to having the ability and the blessing of seeing Allah in Jannah. That after every blessing is given to us, Allah will say, do you want more? And we will say, أَدْخَلْتَنَا الْجَنَّةِ وَنَجَوْتَنَا مِنَ النَّارِ. You've given us Jannah. You've removed us from the punishment of Jahannam. وَجَمَعْتَنَا بِأَهْلِنَا. And you've gathered us with our families. What else could you possibly give us? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove the veils between Him and all of us people that will be living in Jannah. And we will be able to experience the delight of seeing Allah. And in that moment, every single Jannati will say, it is as if we've never been blessed before this moment. وَيَزِيدَهُمْ مِنْ فَضْلِ. Every reward, every blessing in this ayah, Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah says, from this ayah we deduce that every blessing that we have in our life is because of Allah's rahmah upon us. Because there's no blessing that we could bring. Every blessing is due to Allah's mercy. Because if Allah wants, He takes it back. And if Allah wants, He gives it. Allah is the owner and we are the recipients of His grace and mercy. The ayah continues. And I'll end with this last verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, now you have the details of the transaction. Now you have the details. Now you have the do's and don'ts. ثُمَّ أَوْرَثْنَا الْكِتَابِ الَّذِينَ اصْطَفَيْنَا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا. Then we've given this to you, to all of us slaves of Allah, but there are 3 categories of how we respond. People are not built by their states. People are built by their responses. A person isn't weak because he's struggling. A person can be considered weak because he doesn't know how to respond to it. A person doesn't grow based on an opportunity. A person grows because of how they respond to an opportunity. Similarly, a believer isn't simply a believer because of the state that they're in. A believer is a believer because of how they respond to something that Allah calls them towards. Istajibu lillahi wal rasul idha da'akum. They have a sense of responding to Allah, and they have the ability of responding quick. So Allah says, how do you respond to me? There are three categories. Number one, فَمِنْهُمْ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِ. There are those who oppress themselves because they don't respond to Allah. The call of Allah comes, and the call to turn towards Allah comes. There's many gatherings, there's many lectures, and there's many conferences. But we as individuals interact with them as if they're just information. And Allah wants to interact with them as if they're a form of transformation. ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِ. They just oppress themselves because they have no response. They don't have a heartbeat that allows them to respond. Number two, وَمِنْهُمْ مُقْتَصِدٌ. There are those who are very average in their responses, that they'll do what they need to do. And the third category that we wish to be a part of is وَمِنْهُمْ سَابِقٌ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. These are those who are the front runners. There are those who will be in وَالسَّابِقُونَ السَّابِقُونَ أُولَٰئِكَ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ. Amongst the closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this world, we gauge people's level of honor based upon their affiliations. How close is he or she to the CEO of the company? How close is this person to the professor? We don't gauge them based on who they are. We gauge them based upon who they are close to. Because that relationship that they have is what makes them special. As-sabiqun means أُولَٰئِكَ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ. It means that we are now close to Allah. And when a person becomes close to Allah, everything that Allah owns is given to us. We have the ability of taking from Allah's treasures. سَابِقٌ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ. And in simple words, what does سَابِقٌ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ mean? Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, he says that one of the biggest differences between a believer and a munafiq, a believer and a hypocrite, is that a believer has an instantaneous response time. That when a command of Allah comes, there is no glitch or delay in the way they respond to Allah. Sahabas are praying dhuhr salat in the masjid, and the announcement comes that the qibla has changed to the Kaaba. In the middle of their prayer, they change the qibla. Instantaneous response time. Munafiqs and hypocrites also pray salat, but they pray الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. They pray with a delay. We know in this world that the shortest and the slightest delay could be the difference between us making it or not making it. They were telling me that there's a sneaker con happening. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this, but there's a sneaker con happening nearby, next door somewhere. Don't ask me where, and don't look for it either. You're here. This is where we need to be. And I don't know. I'm born and raised in America, but I'm a naive. I don't know what a sneaker con is. And they're telling me a sneaker con is where you can buy all the unique, special shoes that if you were to try to buy on the internet, within a few seconds, they're sold. People get bots to buy them because a slightest delay makes you miss out on the opportunity of buying sneakers. That which you put on our feet. Feet. Imagine having a delay in getting into Jannah. Like imagine everyone else getting in first, and we're like, I wish I was amongst those people. That quality, my dear friends, is found in the ability of us being able to respond to Allah's command instantaneously in this world. Do not allow our softness to become a weakness towards deen. We should be soft but not weak. And do not allow our rigidness to become oppression to our children. But being soft doesn't mean that we're weak. The call of Allah is the call of Allah. Be it that is difficult, we make an attempt, we try our best, and we know that the results are not what matters. It's the effort that matters. Allah's rewarding system is not contingent upon results. Allah's rewarding system is based upon our ability to make an effort. May Allah make us amongst those people that can be a part of those individuals that benefit from this transaction that Allah has given to us, that benefit from such a profitable deal that's in front of us. It's something that everyone needs and everyone is looking for, and we've already been given it. It's our responsibility to live with it, to refer back to it, and allow the world around us to know that we are who we are because of what we have, and that is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.